Hi, it's Lee and welcome to the Tesla Economist. As far as I can tell, Tesla has one actual competitor, for lack of a better word. Well, perhaps I should expand said word to explain what I mean. Well, firstly, this competitor is obviously BYD, and the competition they give Tesla is the fact that they are also able to produce an EV for a relatively low cost. Now, as BYD also have other elements of their business, it's hard to know what their actual gross profit per vehicle is, and deduce at just how low a cost they are actually producing their EVs. But they're low enough to offer very competitive prices. Firstly, we should acknowledge that BYD makes plug-in electric cars, which includes hybrids, as well as fully battery electric vehicles. But still, just under half of their cars are fully electric, and they sell the most number of BEVs in China. However, Tesla still make more BEVs in China than BYD, as Tesla export a lot of their Chinese-made cars. If you combine plug-ins, then Tesla and BYD internationally make close to as many EVs as each other, but overall Tesla still make about twice as many BEVs. The BYD model that has the most attention is the competitor to the Model 3, the new BYD Seal. This vehicle came out mid last year, so is therefore about 5 years newer than the Model 3, and is thus able to take advantage of more modern styles. And some people argue that it does look better than a Model 3 as a result. It's also more designed for the Chinese market and has been designed as to what Chinese perceive as luxury, compared to Tesla, which is possibly more a one-size-fits-all, minimalist, timeless design with a less is more attitude. And the BYD does look quite photogenic. I have yet to test this vehicle as it's not yet released where I am, but I imagine it doesn't drive anything close to as nice as a Model 3, judging by the previous BYD I've driven. Bear in mind that it seems that Tesla are not just going to let BYD take their market share because BYD has a more modern look and feel, as we're soon to expect the anticipated Model 3 Highland update, possibly very soon, as we've also heard that the Model 3 factory is about to experience some upgrades. One would think that this might very well be the Highland upgrade. We've been seeing various Model 3s with their front and rears covered up, driving around, and I think it's a fairly safe assumption that this is going to be a facelift, which should soon be revealed. Some people think the Highland is going to be a whole other level of vehicle, but my thoughts are, if it is, then there is still going to be this minor Model 3 facelift to come before then. China is by far the largest EV market, where over half of all EVs sold globally in 2022 were in China. So it's clearly a big competitive market. Hence why we saw Tesla so drastically cut prices. This does also include the EVs that sell for around $5,000 of course too, which are in big numbers, and includes hybrids, so it's not all direct competition to Tesla. The Seal is competitively priced at around $30,500 in China, compared to the Model 3 at $33,500. Wow, that price tag still amazes me. How good a value that is for a Tesla, yet still probably around 20% gross margin. BYD have kept things simple to reduce the cost. There's no self-driving, just your typical radar cruise control, which is still a reasonably good feature that you wouldn't find standard on most cars today. Then all the other associated technology with a Tesla and the infotainment system and whole smart car feature. Despite the Model 3 possibly looking a little more dated, you still get plenty of additional value for the slightly higher price tag. However, in January, BYD still only made 6,600 all-electric Seals. Compared to Tesla, that's probably at a run rate of around 30,000 units a month in China, when running at capacity. In other words, almost 5 times as much. It will still take BYD quite some time to hit volume production, which, in their defense, they have just about achieved with the Atto 3. However, getting to high volume production may be something only Tesla seem to be able to achieve, with the Model Y at around 3 times volume production in Shanghai. There's obviously massive economies of scale producing 3 times as many vehicles per factory. However, having said that, BYD do deserve some credit for their manufacturing too. They're making their cars with structural battery packs, and as a result are getting similar ranges to Tesla with their vehicles. On top of that, these are BYD's in-house blade batteries, which means BYD are able to save costs with vertical integration. They also make their own chips. Obviously, Tesla arrived at this structural battery pack innovation first, but Tesla's cells are far more complex, being nickel-based cells rather than LFP. But on top of that, Tesla are also using tabless cells and attempting the dry battery electrode process. This is proving to take a lot more time, but when complete and ramped up, Tesla will be able to produce high energy dense cells for less than BYD can make LFP cells, and also take advantage of the structural battery pack too, something that I'm really looking forward to see from Tesla. But as a result, BYD will never have vehicles with a decent range. BYD are using all the latest technologies in manufacturing and cells now. They're not investing in nickel structural battery packs like Tesla. Tesla will absolutely dominate when it comes to vehicles with the longest range, which is something that the US market seems to want. There's a mindset in the US that drivers need about 300 miles of range, likely due to the fact that Americans often do long-distance driving, and this is the supposed reason why Tesla stopped selling the standard range Model Y in the US too. BYD are not going to be able to compete with 300 miles of range EPA. This is not the market they're going for. Tesla will have this pretty much to themselves, aside from whatever Legacy ever managed to achieve. Not only that, obviously the larger a vehicle, the heavier it becomes. The heavier it is, then the less range it gets. Meaning that if BYD wanted to offer larger vehicles like SUVs, luxury sedans, pickup trucks, vans, then they would only be able to do so offering ranges likely well below 200 miles, which may be suitable in some markets, but likely not many, thus not enough to hit economies of scale and manage to make any decent profits. Although if they ever did, it would have to have a massive battery, which would weigh the car down and reduce handling and performance. Tesla will totally own the mass market for long-range EVs and larger EVs. Look, what BYD have achieved over the last several years is impressive, especially considering how their cars used to look. They're potentially giving Tesla a run for their money in China with some of their models, and are not messing around. They've had a chance to make more models than Tesla, and offer more variety. With each new model they launch, they learn from the last. BYD realised that in order to compete, they need to get costs down. Sure, Tesla may be able to get their costs down lower, at least like for like, and offer more features, but Tesla needs something that BYD may not: massive profits. BYD are okay with making a small operating margin, similar to Samsung versus Apple. Apple make massive profits on their phones, hence the enormous market cap. It's sports. Tesla also need to maintain their massive margins too. Of course, Tesla are working on getting their prices down with their new battery technology and manufacturing techniques, which all help. But where Tesla's largest profit will come from will be FSD, which may cost upwards of $20,000 when it actually does pass regulation and is safer than a human driver. No one will be able to compete with these profits, even if Tesla sold their vehicles at cost. We know that Tesla is a brand with much more value than BYD, that people are willing to pay more for. We know Tesla has a lot more resources, capital, and the best engineers, along with a CEO driven like no one else we've seen. But just think about what Tesla has learned since they launched the Model Y, which is pretty much just a variation of the Model 3 in the first place. Yes, we have the Cybertruck coming out, but in reality, that's really just a bit of fun, whilst Tesla are still working out how to ramp up big time. It's the next model reveal that will put Tesla in its place. With all this manufacturing know-how and experience and battery technology with associated cost savings, the fact that Tesla may be able to get the Gen 3 platform for half the cost of a Model 3 changes absolutely everything. So basically, there is only one brand so far that we have seen that is able to also sell EVs at close to the same level Tesla can. And anyway, there's nothing wrong with a bit of competition. The EV market doesn't need to be a winner-takes-all industry. Although remember, in order to do this, BYD had to launch nearly 20 different models. Tesla still only have 4. And despite how long they've been out, they're still selling very well, often the best-selling vehicles in many markets. Tesla has only just begun. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.